So in this class, we will try to understand how literary text is understood. And this is a poem by William Carlos Williams, The Red Wheelbarrow. And as you can see, there are only 8 lines. And in line 1, line 3, line 5, and line 7, there are 3 words, whereas in line 2, line 4, line 6, and line 8, there is only 1 word. So if you count the words that are there, you find it like one sentence. And you also find that since it is a poem, then the writer has taken liberty of poetic license. So writer is not following the grammar or the grammatical rules that are prescribed to write a sentence. This entire poem is like one sentence, but the first letter is not capitalized. There is no punctuation mark. Then how we are understanding this poem? Following the principle of compositionality by Frege, the meaning of a sentence clearly depends upon at least 2 other things. Considering this poem as a sentence and how we get the meaning of this one sentence, it is dependent upon the meaning of the words in the sentence. That is to say, we know the meaning of individual words that are used in this poem and the grammatical structure of the sentence, that how these words combine to make a meaningful sentence. So we understand this poem, this one line sentential poem, that it is so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rain water beside the white chicken. And the title of the poem is The Red Wheelbarrow because it is the topic of the sentence. And if I ask if the sentence is so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens, what am I talking about? On which object I am talking about which object I am talking about? You will say red wheelbarrow. So the topic of this sentence is a red wheelbarrow, and finally that topic becomes the title of the poem. So very short poem by William Carlos Williams. And how we can take this text into our class and how we can teach so many things to our students. First thing you notice, there is one technical term, that is enjambment, is used here. When you look at the etymology of this word enjambment, then you will find that it has been derived from French encroachment. Now you know the concept of encroachment. So what is encroachment here? Or like who is doing the encroachment? So you can find, though it is one sentence, but you find that running over of a sentence from one verse, but here this entire poem is one sentence. So running over of a couplet into another. So again, like few lines, they are running over. You know that depend upon is a phrasal verb. You use it together, depend upon. But what you are doing, running over. Like in the first line, you are simply writing depend, and in the second line, you are writing upon. So this encroachment is happening in this poem. So not only with this phrasal verb depend upon, but red wheelbarrow. Now red wheelbarrow is one object that you have, but again you have a running over of one phrase into another. So you are writing in the third line simply red wheel, and in the next line you are writing barrow. So again running over effect is there. Glazed with rainwater. Now rainwater is one thing, Again, rain is in line 5 and water is in line 6. Similarly, white is in line 7 and chickens is in line 8. So again, this encroachment creates an Enjambment effect that you have in this entire poem. At the same time, if you realize that what is this poem, the Red Wheelbarrow, then this poem is an example of Imagist poetry. Now, what is Imagist poetry? Imagist poetry is simply a description, is description of an image. So image here is not simply a photograph that is in front of you, but image here means like you are looking at something in the world, and you have that that perception of that particular thing through your eye span, and then you are writing about it. So let's assume that a red wheelbarrow is in front of you and you are writing about red wheelbarrow. So whatever is happening to that red wheelbarrow, you are writing about. So in this Imagist poetry, uh, generally the writers, they focus above all on conveying a precise description of an image. So we have an image and they simply provide a precise description. Now this is not a broad description, it is a precise description. Uh, so how it is precise? For example, you can see that so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. So this is one thing that in front of me, there is one red wheelbarrow and glazed with rainwater. So this is again, we are providing a precise description that red wheelbarrow but glazed with rainwater. And again, the second information I am providing beside the white chickens. So again, it is quite precise description I am providing about the red wheelbarrow and the image that I have. Now, one etymological meaning of angioma we have seen, that is of encroachment. Now, second thing is, what is the function of this thing? Why do uh, writers use such type of technique? So they want to create a sense of anticipation. As the poem begins to spill down the page, each line depending on the following in order for its full meaning to become clear. So if I simply say, so much depends, and I won't say any other thing, then you will say, like, so much depends upon what? Fine. Then I say a red wheel barrow. Okay. Glazed with rain, water. Okay, fine. Besides the white what? Besides the white chicken. So that means, like, if you read first line, there is a compulsion, there is an anticipation that the meaning will be clear if you read second line. When you read third line, then there is an anticipation that the meaning will be clear when you read fourth line. When you read fifth line, then there is an anticipation that the meaning will be clear when you read sixth line. Then when you read seventh line, then there is an anticipation that meaning will be clear in the eighth line. So this anticipation is continuous here in this poem. So in order to understand the meaning continuously, you need to move from this paradigmatic structure. Now paradigmatic structure is this vertical structure. So you read syntagmatically, like you read from left to right, so much depends, and then you move down upon, that is paradigmatic. Then a red wheel, that is your syntagmatic movement, and then a paradigmatic movement, barrow. Then again, glazed with rain is your syntagmatic movement, then water. So likewise, syntagmatic and paradigmatic relationship is continuously found is in this poem. And this poem is a good example that how text is structured. And we already know, when we have discussed Saussure's semantic relations of syntagmatic and paradigmatic, and we can very much apply that syntagmatic and paradigmatic relationship to this poem. So in this poem, the writer, the speaker, is focused on the red wheelbarrow and suggests that the poem could very well be a sentimental meditation on the use of common objects. So generally, the objects that we use in our day-to-day life, we don't give any sentimental meditation. For example, this is a mouse. Now this is a mouse, and I do not have any sentimental meditation for this mouse. Though I am so much dependent upon this mouse because it saves like it saves lots of effort to uh, to move the cursor through this laptop. But with the help of this mouse, I can very easily do finer things on my laptop very conveniently. So what is this? This is like the common use, like use of common object. Now this is there, and I am not paying any attention to this. So that type of sentimental meditation, that how little things are so important for us. Another thing is, nowadays you can think of like a mobile phone. What is mobile phone for you? So a sentimental meditation about a mobile phone, if mobile phone is not with you. So let's say you have missed your mobile phone somewhere, and you are not locating your mobile phone, then what will happen? So you are always in a tension. You are always like, okay, what will I do without mobile phone? How will I survive? You start thinking in such a manner, how will I pass this entire day of 24 hours without mobile phone? I have nothing to do. So that type of sentimental meditation. So for mobile phone, we are so much dependent upon. So much depends upon a a mobile phone, a smartphone, and an Apple iPhone. So that way you can also read. So much depends upon an Apple iPhone. That can be the poem for this present generation in the present time. So similarly, this type of sentimental meditation for an object that is neglected, and we are not paying attention to that wheelbarrow. That is the poem actually. So language matters. Yes, language matters a lot. But as I said, that poets, they take this liberty under the guise of poetic license. So what we find here, there is no capitalization or punctuation. You can find that all letters are small. The speaker is not concerned with following strict grammatical rules. Yes, there is no strict grammatical rules. Like depends upon is a phrasal verb, but depend is in one line, upon is in the second line. Red wheelbarrow is like one compound that you have, but red wheel is in one line and barrow is in another line. Rain water is again one compound, but rain is in one line, water is in another line. White chicken is again a noun phrase that you have. White is in one line, chicken is in another line. So the speaker is not concerned with following the strict grammatical rules and keeps the initial letters in lowercase, particularly if it is a sentence, and we know that sentence starts with the capital letter, so S must be in capital, but that is not there. Even if the poets, they at least write the first letter of each line capital, that is also not followed here. The poem lacks capitalization, contributes to the speaker's tone. Now we will see how the speaker's tone is associated with this choice that okay, as a writer, as a poet, I will not follow capitalization, I will not follow punctuation. Like I am free writer. Please do not uh, uh, put me in these chains. Fine, as Shakespeare said, let me not to the marriage of true minds. Admit impediment, love is not love. So let me not to follow the capitalization and punctuation rules. Why writer is doing this? So the poem lacks capitalization, contributes to the speaker's tone, creating an atmosphere of detached observation rather than urgent judgment. So this is again two things, like I am looking at an image, I am looking at something, and I am not jumping to a conclusion. I am not making a judgment. So like a good researcher. So what is the quality of a good researcher? Uh, to observe first carefully, and a detached observation. That means not a biased observation. That okay, I have already made my conclusion, now I will start my research. It is not the case. Like first I will observe and detached, like I do not have any emotional attachment to that particular topic. I am just observing that thing. So I am not taking into consideration that all men are bad and then I am starting my research. Like generally pseudo feminists, they do that. First they have this thing in mind, deep rooted, that all men are bad, and then all men are bad, and then they start doing the research. So you can assume that what type of judgment will be. So here there is no that judgment. So there is no concern about following strict grammatical rules, and the tone is detached, and the writer is not judgmental. That is one thing. Another thing is, the first two lines contain both assonance and consonants. So we know what is assonance. Assonance is associated with the same type of vowels anywhere in a particular piece. Consonance is like same type of consonant sounds there in the piece. So generally we, when we try to find out consonants and assonance, we go for one line. Fine. So when we read traditional poetry, let's say of Shakespearean type, and particularly this sonnet, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" Then it is one line complete. Even if I do not read the second line, then also it is fine. "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" This is like one question, one rhetorical question the writer is raising. But here, if I say simply "so much depends," it's not complete at all that way. So we can find, like in the first two lines, we have both consonants and assonance. First two lines, that means so much depends upon. So we have this so much, like short oo sounds, fine, like ooh, like ooh, the sound like ooh, in which the word much, upon, fine, and as well as in we have the sound like na sound, na, consonant na. Consonant pa is also there in the words like depends and upon that we have. The oo sound is somewhat similar to short e sounds in the word depends. So this is like, just we are, because sounds, they are vowels, they are pronounced in a place in a mouth that is very very short, fine. So the space from where all the vowels are pronounced, it's not like the movement is not very far. So it's like a very small space, from very small space. Like in consonant, relatively we have rather space, like we have the front of the mouth and the back of the mouth, fine, then we have the throat as well. So lots of things are involved in the production of consonant, but that is not the case with vowel. So the little description, the final description, we have studied in our course linguistics theory in practice, and when we studied phonetics and phonology. So that's why we are making an observation that oo sound is also somewhat similar to short a sounds in the word depends. So this creates a sense of internal cohesion. Like sounds, the vowel sounds, they are they are though not same in one and two, but still like they are very close to each other. So oo, ooh, 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 like this, and like this. So at least like some sort of sonically connected. They are sonically connected. So that way we are making this assertion that we have some sort of connection that we have in line one and line two. It's not like and that's why the dependence is more, and that's why the connection is more, like because so much depends upon. So even like one sound is dependent upon the other sound as well. So that we are also trying to make. So is the speaker, the writer continues the thought in the next line, the second line, uh, sorry, in the third line, answering the question like so much depends upon, and the question is like so much depends upon what? A red wheelbarrow. Fine. So the answer is a red wheelbarrow, the topic of this sentence. And then depends the last two stanza of the poem describing the wheelbarrow's state and its surrounding in increasing detail. So, what type of wheelbarrow you have? So, glazed with rain water. That is one condition, one state, and where it is located beside the white chicken. Fine. So you have one state. You are showing the state of well wheelbarrow, and secondly, you are showing the surrounding of that like where it is lying actually. So its surrounding is beside the white chicken. So the speaker begins by announcing the importance of the image before even describing it, stating that so much depends upon. So when I say so much depends upon, I raise the question like if this is the phrase I give you so much depends upon, then blank, then which word you will fill? Someone will fill so much depends upon my family. Someone will write so much depends upon money. Someone will write so much depends upon my mobile phone. So someone will write so much depends upon my well-being. Someone will write like so much depends upon my life partner. Someone will write so much depends upon my children. So again, so much depends upon here what? So much depends upon like already we are giving an importance to a red wheelbarrow. So that's why we are using so much depends upon. Importance in giving first. We are introducing the topic afterwards. First, we are giving the importance to the image. That so much depends upon what? A red wheelbarrow. So and like so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, like the reader will be surprised to know like so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. How is it so? So much depends upon, let's say, oxygen. Like nowadays, like because most of the people they are suffering from COVID-19, and so much depends upon oxygen. Like if there is no oxygen, then there is no life. But here there is no such thing, but so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. Are you serious? That type of thing is there, like so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. Are you kidding? That type of thing is there. So this is the sense that we are making, that so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. So we have finer details after the topic is introduced, the red wheelbarrow. So the red wheelbarrow is not simply wet. So we know the difference between wet but glazed. Now this glazed is like an onomatopoeic word, glazed with rainwater. Fine. So a sort of sensuality appealing to sense is associated with this word. It's not simply, it is not like a red wheelbarrow wet with rainwater. Writer is not writing like that. A red wheelbarrow is not wet. A red wheelbarrow is glazed with rainwater. So you can now see like how carefully these words are chosen by the writer. And it is not just outside. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow wet with rainwater lying outside. So it's not like that lying outside. Writer is not saying lying outside. Writer is saying beside the white chickens. So again, like the finer details you have, the glazed with rainwater, not simply wet, and it's not like simply lying outside or over there. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, wet and lying there. It's not like that, but simply glazed with rainwater beside the white chicken. So the continuous reframing of the wheelbarrow suggests that the speaker is encouraging the reader to look closer, like you need to read carefully. I said that there is a term like close reading. So what is this critical reading? Something you read quite closely and carefully. That is the critical reading practice. So as a student of literature, we always pay close attention to whatever we read in order to understand a text. And particularly a student of stylistics, it's your duty to read a text very carefully if you want to discover new meanings. So similarly, the speaker is encouraging the reader to look closer at the image at hand, and that there is more than meets the eye even when regarding something as mundane as wheelbarrow. So wheelbarrow is mundane, something very boring, like this mouse. So if you want me to give a lecture on this mouse for 1 hour, you will say like, okay, that is going to be quite boring. That a lecture on this mouse for 1 hour. A mouse is a mouse. What will I do? So the other day, I gave you one example of this one advertisement of astro pipes. For example, pipe के बारे में कौन सोचता है? That is the punchline. Like pipe के बारे में कौन सोचता है? Where this Ranveer Singh is in the ad. Fine. So astro pipe and like pipe के बारे में कौन सोचता है? So similarly, a pipe is like a very mundane thing. Like who is going to have a sentimental meditation on the use of a pipe? So similarly, this wheelbarrow is like something very mundane, very boring, and someone has a sentimental meditation on a wheelbarrow is quite surprising. So why it is so surprising, that we will look at in the next class. So I stop here, and if you have any question or doubt, you can raise. And I hope you are getting what I'm trying to teach you. So all of you are